beloved viewers, and welcome to this English News Edition. Here are the top stories. The Minister of Interior received the African Union observers, met with Djibouti authorities. In agriculture, inspection of damage caused by the torrential rains on the international since 11 deaths and over 80 injuries in Israel rate in Israeli. Those were the top stories. Thanks for joining us in our newsroom. In a statement made on the radio and television on the occasion of the closing of the 2 weeks of the campaign for the legislative election scheduled for tomorrow, the Minister of Interior, Mr. Saeed Noor Hassan, recalled that these 2 weeks of campaigning is conducted in a calm and serenity. The monitoring of this upcoming legislative election that will start tomorrow. The many representatives, especially African Union, will be there to observe this running of the campaigning legislative election, and the minister recall and call for all the citizens to vote massively to their duties. The Minister of Interior received today, at the end of the day, the observers of the African Union in charge of monitoring of the legislative election that will begin tomorrow. They are the representative of the African Union, led by the ambassador of Djibouti in Addis Ababa, and representative to the African Union, Mr. Abdi Haibi, talks are 10 in this event, and the talks were focused on the work of observers during the election. In order to work this meeting aim to harmonize the provision for the election observed in the mandate of this mission, which is to observe and independently, the objectively, also in partial and objective observation of the February 24, 2023 election. As 24 hours before the legislative election, the schedule for tomorrow morning, the observers delegation of the two headquarters of the UNP behind the ministerial palace, the ministerial city, led by the Djibouti's ambassador to Ethiopia and the representative to the African Union, Mr. Abdi Haibi, and as well as the ambassador and director of foreign affairs, Mr. Gile, and also Ms. Zemzem Dileita were attending this event, and the AU delegation was welcomed by the Vice President of the UNP, Abdul Qadir Kamel, but also the discussion were also the place of the UNP during this election, as well as the dispositive of the proper conduct of the legislative election. The delegation of the observers of the African Union visit today the president of the Republic. They visit the president of the UDG party, Ms. Ileya Gedi Haret, at the headquarters of UDG. The delegation of the observers of African Union met with Ms. Ileya Ismail Gedi Haret. During this interview, the head of the list of UDG party raised many points concerning the measure already taken and the effort undertaken. The National Commission of the Communication held a working meeting at the observers of the Arab League and the Organization of the Islamic Cooperation, as well as the cooperation as well as the observers of African Union The delegation were welcomed upon their arrival by the president of the CNC, Mr. Ali Mohammed Dimbiu, and also the discussion will focus on supervision of media coverage of the election by the CNC. The chairman of the CNC gave the international observers a brief declaration and presentation on the modalities of the media coverage by this institution. He explained to the observers the principles of the distribution of airtime set out to the law. He also explained to the observers the principle of allocating as this allocating set out in law of number 86 in political pluralism. The president of the CNC also explained to the international observers how the institution of well concerning the legislative election for tomorrow, the high kickoff of the work, and also the beginning of this afternoon, the prefecture of Djibouti in the courtyard that the diversity of the different public institutions were mobilized to transport also the ballot boxes containing all the accessories of the materials necessary to the proper conduct of the election, and many polling stations of Djibouti City and Belbela, and also the intervener of this afternoon, prefect of Djibouti City, explained that the content of the ballot boxes of the mobilization staff for the smooth running and smooth conduct legislative election tomorrow, Friday. The direction of the north, where the prefecture of Tajura has carried out early this morning the departure of the ballot boxes before leaving the prefecture of Tajura. Hassan Dabali has the prefect of Tajura region ensure that everything was in order before leaving. The prefect Hassan Dabali ensured that everything was in order with the head of prefecture's election, the preparation team, that the ballot boxes transported to the different localities in the region of Tajura with the help of army, and also the Republican Guard, the prefect of Tajura region, emphasize the proper conduct of this legislative election scheduled for tomorrow, and that the different remote localities have been in a remote taken into a consideration, but also in different localities taken the consideration, while it is still in the North Prefecture of Obo. Also launched the departure of the ballot boxes of the different boxes that the total of our region in Obo were 43 polling stations. Also are a preparation of the president of the polling station were trained on document to in order to avoid the effect of a surprise, while the transportation of ballot boxes from Djibouti City continue for tomorrow legislative election in Arta region. And also the different headquarters, the prefectorial in the capital of Djibouti City, move today. Later, the activities related to the distribution of voting for the election, Parliament, Assembly, the distribution of voting stool for the select ministry staff member, and also the effort accepted the limitation of the election where the Djibouti city for the necessary of materials for all the polling station in the region, but also in the capital, in the Djibouti capital. That but also remember the smallest region of our country, in this case Arta region, the presidential majority of UMP and the Union for Democracy Justice for all the parties. As part of the preparation for the legislative election of February 24 next, the prefecture of Dakhel region organized this morning in the prefecture of Dakhel region a training workshop for benefit of the secretariat of polling station. This training was shared by the prefect of the region, Adan Darar Musa, assisted by his deputies. The training were focused on a mission on the devoted and also understanding of the minutes to be full during the voting day. The polling station of this workshop generated many interesting exchange from the participant present from the Khel region. In a digital world that is constantly changing, our young people need guidance more than ever to be guided. It is in this perspective that the ANC has undertaken an awareness campaign in the schools of capital and the interior schools in the capital. And also the region in order to sensitize the school children and the students that the National Agency for State Information System has since been conducted the National Awareness Program of promote the ANCIS awareness program is part of the National Strategy Awareness Program, subscribe in the National Strategy, but also the targets of all layers of the population, those who are the most vulnerable and exposed to the digital tools that often unaware of the risk incur and practice the children of the teenager without being that trained today for the today to give an excessive trust that the virtual also the deliver of a great quantity of information without considering that it could explode it for a wrong purpose with the mind of agency in extending to these awareness public and private accessibility.
shilalka in laga daryeelo waayeelkana loo dadaalo waa waajib dusheena saaran dusheena saaran dusheena saaran dhalinta dugsiyada tagaysa dayartaan diireen adkaanin digtooni la'aan ardaysa gaadiidka dariiqa buuxiyo shilalka in laga daryeelo waayeelkana loo dadaalo waa waajib dusheena saaran
The minister approved for expansion the administration today for the occasion and the social security law and also the possibility of articles. It was participated by the officials in the same civil and military civil, the social subdivision, the first to be implemented that wishes this enforcement, the community of the winter war happen in this social security parliament. And also the opportunity in a section for the social subscription and include the inherited game and practice have made a sketch for the population in this game in practice to inform the public the strengthening of the use of a social subscription.
waxaan makaabad baa hooyo ma la mari karaa oo meesha hooyo biloo nala duntaa ma guradaas saraan marnaa hooyo arkanaan ka kornaa bismillaahi arignu ma kori karaan ma arigii dadka isla maro hooyo bismillaahi raxmaan
In his speech, the Kasagad, Mr. He said in his speech, the colonel of the Kasagad have made in this occasion a special speech in which he talked about the implementation of social capacity and the road instructions to respect the road map. For this occasion, the Minister of Decentralization have made for this occasion a speech in which he also approved for the expansion of administration and speak about the meeting and congratulate all the Coast Guard Army that implement this and support the social implementation. The Minister of Social Affairs and Solidarity in charge of a policy of a fight against the promotion of national solidarity has proceeded throughout this week, the cash transfer week. This cash transfer through the Saving and Loans Bank to nearly 2,000 households in the commune of Belbela and Bulaus. This cash distribution of up to 30 were intended to improve the living condition, empowerment, and resilience of the poorest in this social context, resilience of the poorest in the social context marked by the multiple recurrent and also including the price that's committed to resilience from poverty. The minister facilitate through this social cash transfer program the banking of vulnerable households excluded from the vulnerable households, and also the financial system encouraging them to save. These households can therefore through these subsidies increase their economic resources, and in addition to the monetary assistance, these households are also supported by the ministry through training to strengthen their entrepreneurial capacity. The goal is to give them all the skills that they need to enter the labor market by the becoming a producer and productive member of the the society equipped with to be actor of their own development, that these vulnerable households who now have access to the this financial service for. And also the signing of a contract of banking interconnection between D-Money and East Africa took place this morning at the D-Money headquarters this morning. This banking interconnection partnership is powerful level for the growth and this powerful growth and that's promote the inter network money and this transfer and sharing of the infrastructure distribution and the network is our general marketing distribution network that the money in general access channel to a variety of financial service. All of the part is an overall objective to improve a strong of a value for a population, both in terms of offer and also itself, as well as the geographical coverage of this counterpart by the installed document formalizing the terms contra at the end of a signing ceremony of a general manager of East African Bank, Mr. Ibrahim Rashid Jaffer. In close collaboration with the Ministry of Health, the Hospital of Al Rahma Hospital organized yesterday a multidisciplinary medical caravan in the city of Arta. This medical convoy, which include a number of specialties, including gynecology, obstetric, and pediatric, but also the general pediatric to provide treatment and medication for 500 patient. The inauguration ceremony of this caravan, which is the first of a series of medical convoy for the hospital, will conduct in the interior region, but also in Djibouti city. It was held in Djibouti, took place in the presence of the regional director of, but also the NGOs of Al Rahma in Djibouti, Mr. Abdul Qani Ismail, the deputy prefect of the region of Arta. Attended by the officials and technical advisor of the Ministry of Health, Dr. Ahmed, the director of the Al Rahma Hospital, the chief physician of Arta Hospital, and senior official of NGOs attending this ceremony. And now, in the regional and international scenes, in Israeli troops killed 11 Palestinian and wounded more than 80 in a shooting raid in multi-hours raid in the occupied West Bank, the city of Nablus. On Wednesday, there were many in this shooting, and there were several injured in 80 of a shooting raid in Israeli. This is it for this edition. Thanks for watching and have a wonderful evening.